Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, today we continue our Taste of Directors series. This is a series on this channel where each month we'll turn the spotlight on a director and we'll cover a few films from her or his filmography to give you a taste of what that director has to offer. And what this series is really all about is discovery. It's about, hey, here's a filmmaker that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't heard of. Here's a few films that this director has done and contributed to the world of cinema. And maybe you might want to take an interest in her or his work. I know for me, that is one of the things I have really enjoyed about doing this YouTube channel is the discovery of new films in my film journey. So, of course, as a lover of films and physical media, I watch a lot of movies, but there are more movies and films and directors out there than I'll ever have a chance to discover and explore. And oftentimes I'll do a video and you guys will put in the comment section a comment about a particular film you've seen or a director that you enjoy the works of. And oftentimes I've never even heard of that director or that film. And it's an opportunity for me to discover something new. And so I have really enjoyed that aspect of it. A great example of that was the Criterion release of Onibaba last year that I originally had not planned to pick up. But based on your recommendations, soon after that title was announced, back in, I think, July, that it was coming out in October of last year, I decided, hey, I'll go ahead and pick it up. And I'm glad that I did, and I really enjoyed that title. So thank you for your comments and keep them coming, because it's helping me to discover new films and new directors. One thing I always say in these is, what we do is we choose 3 to 4 films from that director's filmography. And I know that choosing 3 to 4 films may not cover the full depth and breadth of a director's work, but we choose 3 to 4 films just to give a taste of what she or he has contributed to the world of cinema, so that it might spark your interest and you may decide, you know what? I'm gonna check out that director. All right, so this month we're gonna turn the spotlight to Poland and Polish film director and screenwriter Krzysztof Kieslowski. He was born in Warsaw, Poland in June of 1941, and he was the son of Barbara, pronounced Snert, and Roman Kieslowski. And he grew up in several small towns, moving wherever his father, who was an engineer, his father had tuberculosis. So he was a patient with this condition. And so he had to move wherever he could get the best treatment. And he was raised Roman Catholic, and he retained what he called a personal and private relationship with God. And as you explore the films of Kieslowski, you'll see some of those themes, filtered through a lot of his films that I thought was really interesting, and how that influenced a lot of his works. At first, he became a theater director, but he didn't have the required bachelor's degree. He kind of went through a sort of a long and circuitous path to ultimately becoming a filmmaker and sort of figuring out what he wanted to do. He applied to this film school called the Lutz Film School, and that's the same school that Roman Polanski and Andrzej Wajda were among the alumni of that school. He applied to Lutz Film School but was rejected twice, had to go a couple of different routes to ultimately come back to the Lutz Film School. And he eventually went to Lutz and graduated. In his career, he directed nearly 30 documentaries and over a dozen feature films and TV dramas, and he earned numerous international awards throughout his career. And he was also nominated for 2 Academy Awards, or 2 Oscars, in 1995 for Best Director and Best Writing. So internationally acclaimed director. He's done a ton of work. He started out in doing documentaries. He did almost 30 of those. And then he went on to do feature films and TV dramas. Just a prolific director. He died at a pretty young age in 1996 at the age of 54, but he is still to this day very influential in European cinema. So Krzysztof Kieslowski, that's a little bit about his background, just in case you may not be aware. So I like to share a little bit of the background of these directors in these Taste of Directors series. Kieslowski's films deal with themes such as chance versus fate. His Roman Catholic faith also had a heavy influence in his films, as I mentioned before. And he also, I think one aspect of his films I found very interesting, and a lot of filmmakers do this, is not answering all of the audience's questions, but leaving the audience with haunting questions about what does this film mean and what is the significance of the events that I'm looking at. Is it more complex? Is there more going on here? Or is it as simple as what I'm observing? So the audience is often left with those haunting and enigmatic questions that is a part of his films that I really appreciate. So those are some of the themes. So let's go ahead and get into the films that I'm gonna cover for this Taste Director Series for Krzysztof Kieslowski. So the films that I'm gonna cover are probably 3 of his most famous films. Of course, he did a lot of documentaries early on before doing feature films and TV, but the films that I'm gonna go over here are probably his most famous works. And they're all titles in the Criterion Collection. The first is Decalogue. So this is a series of 10 episodes that aired on TV that is very fascinating, that I'll get into in just a moment. So Decalogue, The Double Life of Veronica, a film starring Irene Jacob, and of course, the 3 Colors trilogy by Krzysztof Kieslowski. I'll cover Red in this series, and that also stars Irene Jacob. So let's go ahead and jump into this amazing, literally, no pun intended, towering epic journey called Decalogue. So Decalogue is from 1988 from Krzysztof Kieslowski. This is the Criterion Collection edition of Decalogue. And it is a series of 10 films, 10 one-hour episode films that appeared on Polish TV in 1988. And Krzysztof Kieslowski originally set out to have a number of directors host or direct these different episodes, but he decided to retain creative control, and he wanted to just go ahead and direct all these himself. And these stories are absolutely phenomenal. So I'm gonna focus on the first story in this film, just to give you a taste of what the Decalogue has to offer. So basically, the Decalogue takes place in Poland, takes place in Warsaw, Poland. It's 10 stories that take place in an apartment tower block building in Warsaw. So this diagram that you see here, this drawing, represents a portion of that apartment building. So all the action basically takes place, or all the families and the people live in this apartment complex in Warsaw, Poland. And it's a series from 1988 that features 10 stories based on the 10 commandments from the Bible. So each commandment from the Bible is sort of loosely based off of each of those commandments. And it's just a fascinating journey. There's some common threads between the 10 episodes, but it's 10 stories of 10 different people who are living in this apartment complex. The first episode is a great start. It features a university professor, is played by Enrique Baranowski, and he plays a university professor named Krzysztof, like the director, and he's basically agnostic. He's not a man of faith. He is a university professor who just believes in reason and science. He does not believe really in faith or doesn't have much of belief in God. And he has a young 12-year-old son named Paul, who's played by Wojciech Plata in this film. And this 1-hour episode deals with their relationship as father and son. The mother is living in a different area of the world. She's in a different location, but it just centers on the father and son relationship. And it is a very fascinating film for 1 hour, how they relate to one another. And then another major character in here is Maja Komorowska, She plays Irina. So she is the uncle of this young boy named Paul, and she's the sister of Krzysztof in this episode. And she is a woman of faith. And so she has faith discussions with the young boy, and the young boy comes to believe in God. And it's just a very fascinating journey between a father and a son and an aunt and a sister that I think you'll find very fascinating. And it all takes place in this apartment building in Warsaw as part of episode 1 of Decalogue. There are other amazing stories that's in this set. This is a new 4K restored digital transfer of all of these films. And it's just a beautiful set. This is one of the great sets in the Criterion Collection, and I absolutely love it. And it's from Polish master Krzysztof Kieslowski. It's called Decalogue. 10 stories in a Warsaw, Poland apartment complex. 10 families centered around the 10 Commandments from 1988, the Decalogue. Definitely check this one out. Highly recommended. Another film from Krzysztof Kieslowski as part of this Taste of Director series is a film that stars the wonderful actress Irene Jacob, who appeared in a number of his films. And this is just a wonderful, mysterious film called The Double Life of Veronique. This is a Criterion Collection edition that if you do not have, I recommend it. If you're thinking about titles to pick up for this upcoming July Barnes & Noble sale for Criterion titles, definitely consider The Double Life of Veronique. If you like mysterious, haunting type films, this is an amazing film. And basically it is a film of two women who are basically doppelgangers. They are women who look like they could be identical twins. They're both played by Irene Jacob. And one is from France and the other is from Poland. So it's a Polish woman and a French woman who intersect at a certain point one time in this film, and it's a monumental point, but they live separate lives going parallel tracks in their lives. And so you see each one of them at different points in the story going through their life. One of them is a singer, just a wonderful, just amazing angelic singer. And others woman is a French music teacher. So one is called Veronica. She's a Polish choir soprano, and her double, Veronique, is a French music teacher. So this is called The Double Life of Veronique. So you have Veronique and you have Veronica. So one is in France and one is in Poland. So I know that may sound a little confusing, but it's basically about two women who look just alike, whose lives intersect at a certain point, and you follow their parallel lives in this incredibly mysterious journey. It is just an absolutely amazing film. I'll read the back here from Criterion. It says, Krzysztof Kieslowski's international breakthrough remains one of his most beloved films, a ravishing, mysterious rumination on identity, love, and human intuition. Irene Jacob is incandescent as both Veronica, a Polish choir soprano, and her double, Veronique, a French music teacher. Though unknown to each other, the two women share an enigmatic emotional bond, which Kieslowski details in gorgeous reflections, colors, and movements. Aided by Sławomir Adziek's shimmering cinematography and Zbigniew Prysnier's haunting operatic score, this is the same composer who also did Decalogue. So Zbigniew Prysnier was a frequent collaborator with Krzysztof Kieslowski in terms of music. He was a composer for a lot of his films. So he did the score for this film as well. And Krzysztof Kieslowski creates one of cinema's most purely metaphysical works. The Double Life of Veronique is an unforgettable symphony of feeling. This film is absolutely beautifully shot. It is a beautiful film. It's like watching a dream is what this film is. From the opening shot all the way through, you are just caught up in the mystery of what is going on in the lives of these two women. And it is a film that I highly recommend. Of all of Kieslowski's works that I've seen so far, this is my favorite. So this is my favorite film from this director, Krzysztof Kieslowski. And I would say it might very well be his absolute masterpiece. It's called The Double Life of Veronique. Highly recommended for this Criterion sale that's coming up. Definitely pick it up. It comes in at spine number 359 in the Criterion collection. You get a restored high definition digital transfer with this and a DTS HD master audio soundtrack. Just beautiful film. It looks great, it sounds amazing, and it's a fantastic film from this amazing director. So the last title that I'm gonna cover here is another series from this amazing director whose life ended pretty short, but he created some amazing, poetic, and just enchanting film. And one of his last works is this work right here from 1994, I believe, and it's the Three Colors trilogy. So you have three colors, blue, white, and red, all represent a portion of the French flag. And so they're part of the colors of the French flag. And the story of these films are basically sort of loosely based on the political ideals in the motto of the French Republic. So you have liberty, equality, and fraternity. So I am covering the red in this particular one. In this set here, this is of course the blue, white, and red, the Three Colors trilogy set from Criterion that I highly recommend. They're all great films. White is probably the weakest of these films, but blue and red, just great films, highly acclaimed. And the one that I'm gonna cover here is Three Colors Red by Krzysztof Kieslowski. So they each come in their own individual case. This is Irene Jacob, who plays in this film. And then this is the gentleman here, I forgot his name, but he plays the judge. Actually, it says on the back here, Jean-Louis Trintignant. He plays the judge in this film. And Irene Jacob, of course, also plays in this wonderful film as a model. But this is an absolutely amazing film that it's been a while since I've seen it. I need to revisit this film as well as this entire trilogy. It's been years since I've seen them, so I need to revisit these films. But this is a great film as part of the set. And it just says in the back here, Krzysztof Kieslowski closes his Three Colors trilogy in grand fashion with an incandescent meditation on fate and chance, starring Irene Jacob as a sweet-souled yet somber runway model in Geneva whose life dramatically intersects with that of a bitter retired judge played by Jean-Louis Trintignant. Meanwhile, just down the street, a seemingly unrelated story of jealousy and betrayal unfolds. Red is an intimate look at a forged connections and a splendid final statement from a remarkable filmmaker at the height of his powers. So this is one of his last films from this amazing director, and it is just an absolutely beautiful film. Of course, you pull this disc out, you have this little bit of the rest of this picture with the judge, but this is an absolutely fantastic looking set. The packaging, you know, it's not the most sturdy cardboard that this is in, so it sort of begins to get worn over time, but the films that are included in here are absolutely phenomenal. So that's red. You also have blue that's included in here, which is just amazing. And blue stars Juliette Binoche. And then you have white, Three Colors, the white film. So yeah, just absolutely amazing films. Of course, the inside of blue shows Binoche here. And she was wonderful. She's wonderful, and basically everything that she's in is similar to Irene Jacob. Krzysztof Kieslowski did a great job getting the most out of his actors in his films. And of course, blue, white, and red are a great example of that. So those are the three films that I would definitely recommend you check out as part of Krzysztof Kieslowski's work. Decalogue is an amazing series. If you're interested in diving into foreign cinema, if you haven't really gotten into that yet, this is a great director to consider. And I would probably start off with maybe a series like Decalogue. 10 TV episodes in Poland from 1988. The Double Life of Veronique is a fantastic entry into Krzysztof Kieslowski. Really shows his visionary style. This is one of the most beautiful films that I've seen. It is just an enchanting film to watch, and I highly recommend it. It's my favorite of his films. And of course, Blue, White, and Red, the Three Colors trilogy is a masterwork from this director that I highly recommend. And you'll see in these films what this picture represents, but it's pretty interesting. So I definitely would recommend you check it out, and you'll see what this comes from. But just amazing, just beautiful films. And then the other film in the Criterion collection from this director, from Kieslowski, is another film that I would recommend you give a shot at for the Criterion collection, and that is Blind Chance. This is a film from 1981 that I highly recommend as well, from this incredible visionary filmmaker. It's called Blind Chance. It deals with those themes of chance versus fate that I talked about earlier. So there you have it. These are the films that I recommend, that I covered in this Taste Director series: the Decalogue, the Double Life of Veronique, Three Colors trilogy, and then of course, Blind Chance is also in the Criterion Collection from this amazing director. All right, so let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this edition of Taste of Directors series? Let me know if you've seen films from Krzysztof Kieslowski, and if you have, what's your favorite film from this director? And let me know what titles you would recommend, either from Krzysztof Kieslowski or other films from Polish cinema. Let me know that in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.